Well, let's return
Oh, do we have to go back, Daddy?
back to the world's end. Let's go back to the end of the world.
Do we have to go back, Daddy?
Let's
I'll
go
be
back.
good.
AEW's
Don't take me back.
World's End in Orlando. We're ready for the next match.
Well, it was the time for the time for the tournament final is what it was time for. The tournament for the Continental Classic. Wait a minute. Let me go back to Uncle Dave's thing. Does he say what exactly this deal was? The Continental Classic. Yeah, that's what it. Well, it's the Continental title. It used to be the Classic when there was 3 belts involved, but now it's just the 1 belt because they split the other belts up. So the Continental Classic is only for the Continental title, not to be confused with the Intercontinental title.
But it just so happens that the Continental Champion, Okada, is in the final. What if he wasn't?
Well, no, because they said last year that the Continental Champion would only be champion for 1 year, and then the new champion would be the champion. So he's got to come back and prove himself. That's when they took the other 2 belts out of it and gave them to other people, because that would have muddied shit up really bad. Are you clear now?
I mean, as clear as I'm going to get about this.
Okay, it was Ospreay and Okada, otherwise known as more of these 2.
Come on, you know what? This was Okada's best match in AEW, I think.
Okay, again, to be the nicest guy in prison is not an honor that our children should aspire to. It's his best match out of a bunch of shitty matches. But again, regardless of whether they're MDs or not, move doers, here was the setup to this. Ospreay bled a bucket in the previous match and went 20-something minutes. He comes out, his head's all bandaged, he's still bloody, he's selling the previous match. So they start out the match by trading the forearms, and then Ospreay did a dive in the first 45 seconds. And then they fought on the floor for an extended period of time. And Okada gave Ospreay a couple of different DDTs on the floor, on his busted open head from the previous match. Within the first 2 or 3 minutes, I feel like I'm in hell being forced to watch the same thing over and over and over.
Do you think Tony told Ospreay about Ted DiBiase and Ric Flair with Dick Murdoch in 85 at Mid-South, and this is like their version of that? Like DiBiase coming out after getting busted open, and he's got the wrapping around his head, and
but how could they even have a video?
Ric Flair DDTs him on the floor a bunch of times.
Well, yeah, they even had a video guide of how to do it then, if that's what they were trying to do, and they didn't do it. But the Ospreay is supposed to be the one fighting from underneath, but then the injured guy is more like an Olympic gymnast suddenly, and Okada's bumping like he's made out of paper mache because I don't care whether everybody says, oh, he turned it up or not. He's still doing everything he can to protect every part of his body. And they went back out to the floor for a while, and I zoned out. And then they both started going 100 miles an hour, and Ospreay hit another Styles Clash and got a 2 count. So he can go through all this and still hit and Okada hits a clothesline and gets a 2 count. And then Ospreay was selling like death, and Okada was just forearming him lackadaisically. And I gotta be, they were 15 minutes in by this point. I zoned out. I fast forwarded another couple of minutes. And they went back and forth, and Okada clotheslined him 1, 2, 3. So just beat him flat. They put this broken down dumb shit over one of the 2 top baby faces they've got clean. I don't know why they do it at all, but they do everything in the goddamn world to each other. And then when they run out, the heel just beats the babyface with a half-ass move that was less dangerous than 14 other things they did. And then they shook hands with each other, with Ospreay, the babyface, on his knees in front of the Japanese prick that calls everybody bitch that just beat him. And he shook his hand while on his knees and bowed to him. He'd get a little head bow. Is it any wonder why they can't keep viewers or make stars? when this whipped fucking puppy, he came in for millions of dollars as the second coming, even the first coming. And now he's fucking shaking hands with this broken down fucking asshole that they put over everybody and bowing to him. Can you tell me the fucking idea behind this?
You know, Will Ospreay was the guy that had a chance to make their own breakout star, or try to, and he's just another one of the guys in AEW losing matches. He's lost a lot of matches if you really think about it. And, you know, it was the best match Okada's had in AEW. But I think the problem is the finish. And I think we first noticed it a few pay-per-views ago. The heels keep winning all the matches. And I know it's like an AEW fan base out there, post-babyface and heel. Or at least that's what Cody was telling us a few years ago.
Before he went back to where they were babyface and heels and made a fucking fortune.
We don't do anything with those boring tropes like baby faces and heels. We're past that. Well, look at what goes on here. And I think the fans get more and more deflated. You know, they're on max now. And the interesting thing is, and they were hyping it up too, 2019. You can go on there and see the start of AEW. It's like another company. Big buildings, a lot of fans. Not just the amount of people, how loud they are, how active they are. It's another company. They burned out their fan base with the booking. And it's not going to get any better from here.
All right, well, explain this to me. As soon as they're finished with the match, Chris Daniels comes out on the stage and congratulates Okada. And he says, I can't present the belt because I'm no longer an executive vice president. And they said that again on Dynamite. But at the same time, they said, but he's still an official of did he quit? Did someone demote him? What is this, some sub-show story that's carried out on Rampage? Were
we told he was an EVP?
I don't think he was ever an EVP. I think he was Tony's fucking surrogate for a week there to come out and announce matches until he stopped doing that a week later. Well, anyway, he said, I can't present the belt. I'm no longer an EVP, but this man is. And they play music, and out comes the triumphant return of Twinkle Toes McFingerbang. He's back. Good old Kenny. And he took the belt to the ring and handed it to Okada and turned around and left. And it was 30 minutes from the entrances of this thing to the belt handoff.
So now we get the tease of Okada and Omega, which was a big match in New Japan.
How many years ago?
I mean, you know, it's funny. You don't really think about how long ago it is.
Was it before Okada's near-fatal fucking train wreck he apparently was in?
It was before that. It was before Kenny's issues. So you have to wonder what it would be like now. You have to wonder what kind of schedule Kenny's going to be able to work. And again, they bring him back for this, unannounced, comes out, presents the belt that he has nothing to do with, but except he's EVP, I guess. He's wrestling at the Tokyo Dome. His return, that's what he's an EVP again. So using his corporate duties, he's going to go wrestle for someone else.
But he shows
where I
up
think
on
Tony
this
Khan
show
is a fool.
to give somebody else a belt, and then he goes to Japan and wrestles in the... You would feel sorry for Tony if he hadn't had so many numerous episodes of proof that he's being taken like a goddamn sucker and drained for his blood by these guys.
Unless he buys New Japan. That's the only way it makes any sense. The amount of promotion all of a sudden he's giving New Japan. But we'll talk about Dynamite when we talk about Dynamite.
Speaking of draining blood, can you imagine Tony Khan, who thinks he understands the wrestling business in Japan, trying to run a Japanese company?
I can absolutely imagine that. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I can imagine Tony Khan thinking, hey, you know what? I can run New Japan. How much is it? I'll buy it.